Hello, guys. Izabella Ritz and Amazon Made Simple podcast. And today I have two guests who are the best partners. They're partners in crime, and they are husband and wife, and they created business worth to share with the world. And Josh and Becca, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for accepting this invitation. It's really very important for me and for our audience as well.
Hey, thanks, Izabella. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, I'm more excited than you think. Okay, so of course I'm going to ask about your background. However, I was when I was listening for your podcast with Kevin King, I was impressed how you guys created lots of items together. You're not like this, like you're not old people who have like a lot, like years of experience behind your back. And you created, I think, if I remember well, you started your business in 2015.
That's right.
Right? That's right. Yeah. 2015. So within 8 years, you're at 8 figures, correct?
Yep.
8 figures. I remember how you've been winning this case of money at BDSS.
That's
I
right.
still have this picture.
Won the case of money at BDSS. That's my claim to fame right now.
Our kids thought that was pretty cool.
That's right. Bringing home a box of ones in a suitcase. Becca was a little suspect.
Yeah, that looked like that. And you guys created all these designs and the calendars and different type of invitations and like educational stuff that we probably are going to talk about today, just from scratch. And I saw how you brought to 6-figure in sales some of the ASINs, just complementing each other. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So where everything started, like why Amazon? Why did you decide to do it together? Who took initiative to like, okay, Becca, or okay, Josh, let's start doing the business on Amazon? Or like, I'm going to create the designs. How good, like why and how? Like, tell us this story, please.
Yeah, for sure. So we moved to Texas in 2014. Is that right? 2014. Yep. So Josh actually had a corporate job lined up after graduating college. And so we moved here. We had both just graduated. I'd graduated in education, so I was getting ready to teach. But as I looked for a job out here, I just didn't feel the passion for it. And so Josh had a great job and he was like, stay home. I know you love doing design, like teach yourself, do what you want. And so I spent that first summer that we lived here teaching myself everything there was to know about graphic design, about Adobe Illustrator. And from there, I started doing a lot of custom wedding invitations for friends and different people. And that really is what got us started and got us started working together. So Josh is a great sales guy. And so he helped me to get brides on our list every week or every day. Actually, we got super busy. We had like 2 to 3 brides scheduled a day. It was really fun. That's when the team effort really came. We'd work together at nights and I would be designing. He created like a whole funnel on Facebook to get brides in and signed up and everything. And we were busy. We were having so much fun, but it was a ton of work. And we were trying to figure out, what else can we do? And Josh had been studying a lot about Amazon and we were like, should we try it? Let's test it out. And we ended up testing out some recipe cards on Amazon that did pretty well. And we're like, okay, maybe there's something here. And from there, we tested out different products and tried different things. And here we are.
1,300 SKUs later, here we are.
Yeah. So it really was a team effort.
So it's 1,300 SKUs. When I was looking on Amazon, you have more than 2,000. So I believe you have a lot of variations on top.
Yeah. And there's also, we do a little bit of merch by Amazon as well. Then you have your bundle listings, which we're not taking into account of that, those 1,300, but 1,300 SKUs that Becca has like personally designed each one of them.
So if we're going a little bit back in time, you decided to do this wedding invitations. Did you guys test the market? Did you take a look like how it's gonna work? Do you actually have a demand for that, or has been like, okay, let's just do wedding invitations because it's working for us already?
That kind of came alive by itself a little bit. My friends were asking me, and so I was doing it for them, and I was like, oh, this is really fun. I really like this. And then Josh helped me test the waters to see if there was a market out there. And, people put a lot of time and money and effort into their weddings, so it's a great market to be in. And so,
Yeah, really, it was just an opportunity that we really fell into. Again, Becca had some friends that said, "Hey, would you mind designing it?" And that was her first like wedding client. It was like she was doing it for free just to like learn more about Adobe Illustrator and be able to like test her skills out. And then that friend referred another friend, and so it kind of created this mini snowball to a point where I was like, hey, maybe there's more to this. And for me, I'm a business guy through and through. So I'm like, there's got to be more. If you're already having a lot of people refer you, then surely we could go and attract the right type of clients. And so I joined, I think, 1,000 different Facebook groups on Becca's Facebook account. I ruined her account, but then I acted as Becca in all of these wedding groups that were, brides of Dallas, Texas, brides of South Carolina, brides of
Florida.
It didn't matter where they were, but they were predominantly in the US. And what I would do is I would just scroll through those pages, and most of the time you would find the search term at the time was ISO, in search of, and then people would be like, wedding invitations or rental booths or whatever it is that they were looking for. So I would just hit Control F, and I would find any of the people that had mentioned invitations in those wedding groups. And then I would personally DM them, again, using Becca's account. And I was like, hey, I design wedding invitations. Here's a link to my website. I would love to give you a free quote. Here's my form. And then from that form, it put them into this funnel. And then I had a whole kind of like sales sequence that I walked people through to get a deposit, get them booked on Becca's calendar. And so it was really our first opportunity to like cut our teeth into the business world, but it was a lot of fun.
So Becca got busy because her husband decided to.
It was definitely a team effort. We did it together. We loved it. We were working at like late nights. We had our first son. We'd work when we put him to bed. We'd work during nap time. It was a team effort.
Yeah.
I feel you guys. Like I got my baby a week ago. And right now I remember like it's like 20 years after, like I had my first one 17 years ago. And right now I'm, generally speaking, going through the same cycle. Yeah, it is kind of fun, like because like we're still working with our business, and they have Amazon too, and agency, and like also it's like no sleeping nights, but
Yep.
still fun. Like when you're building business, it's always great. So when you, I understand when you're running business and you're going on a calls with your clients. And I believe most of these wedding invitations, they've been customized based on the person requirements, correct?
Yeah.
So when you shifted from there to Amazon, it's still be customized and personalized stuff, or it's already something else?
So our
It's
business
just the same
transformed.
template.
Yeah, no. So we kind of ended up stopping doing the custom wedding invitations, and we moved into physical products. So same if you would walk into a Target or a Walmart and you'd buy a calendar or a notebook or a set of invitations, that's what we sell on Amazon. The custom wedding invitations were separate. And then we moved on to physical products on Amazon that are not customized. They're all designed by me and then shipped in and fulfilled by Amazon.
So it really was, it was kind of a pivot in the
Yeah.
business, and we had to focus on what type of business could actually scale. That's what was going on in my mind. And I remember, we had crossed the 6-figure mark just doing the wedding invitations. But I had ambitions of turning this into a multi-million-dollar business, even with just the custom wedding invitations. I remember telling that to my sister, and her like jaw hit the floor. She's like, wow, like these are some bold aspirations that you have. And so that's when my ideas started turning like, okay, how could we turn this business into a multi-million-dollar business? And, one option was, okay, we're already capped out with the amount of time that Becca can spend designing products. Like she had a 6-month wait list just to work with her. Like that's how much like demand we had in order to work with Becca, but she's one person and we couldn't add any additional clients. Like you could not squeeze any more time in a day. Now as a young family, like that's not a sustainable business. Like that's what we're going to plan on doing for the next forever, is just like
years.
being married to this business where we're just slaving away and dealing with clients all the time. Right. And
Yeah,
so,
there's no way to scale if it's just one person and you have a waiting list forever.
yeah, exactly. And we had discussed like the other option was to, okay, we go and find other designers that could start designing with you, and try to copy and paste Becca, but that's much easier said than done. And again, another reason why, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's hard because Becca's an amazing designer. It's challenging in the fact that like we have never been able to find another graphic designer to be able to match the talents that Becca has. Like she is definitely like a world class, like one of the best designers in the whole world. Like I'll flat out say that, not just because she's
Thank
standing
you.
here and I need some brownie points, but in the reality of like we have looked so many times for graphic designers over the last 8 years, and we have never found anybody that kind of compares to that. So again, that's where we're like, hey, let's not deal with the, employee personnel problem side of a business, and let's go find something that we could mass produce that would allow us to be able to scale up our business. So as soon as we took the dive into Amazon, our first year on Amazon, we did over $1 million in revenue, and it was just the two of us with an assistant.
Mhm.
And so at that point we knew, okay, now we're on to something, and that's where we put the wedding business behind us and move forward from there.
First of all, I feel you with the graphic designers because we are working with graphic designers, and to hire one, we're probably going over like 150 resumes. Out of 150 resumes, we're given about 10 to 15 paid test jobs that they're completing, and sometimes we're ending up with hiring zero. And then this, like, we're going over and over and over again with this circle. We have our 8, 9 designers right now that are working full time, and we keep searching for the new designers all the time. I feel you here. It's a pain, and it's very hard to substitute someone who is really good at it. And I saw you guys' designs; they're really impressive. So you have a proven strategy why you're actually selling, because the design is definitely good.
Yeah, and
And
it's not
here,
the fact that we don't have any designers on our team, right? Like you have graphic design assistants that assist Becca with different components, but the overall design of the product specifically, like we have good designers on our team, but Becca's the only one that touches the actual like products that go out to market. So there are still, we found good graphic designers to support us in very specific ways in the business. And so, I think that's the importance, is like we've learned where like Becca's specialty is.
And where you can delegate.
Yeah.
I learned about you guys that Josh is the nerd of the keyword research and PPC, so he knows this stuff. So he can find this high demand, low competition, and he can find the niche. But a question to you: so when you're creating the design, how do you know that this design is going to work? And do you test your design or not? Like, what the process you're going through from A to Z?
Yeah, for sure. So it's really a combination of so many things. Honestly, it sounds silly, but part of it is just living my life and being out in the world and seeing what I feel like is trending in the media, in Target, in Walmart. It's just being out there, and I'm very observant that way. I would say, like when I walk around the store, even with my kids, and I'm like dragging them around, I'm like, we're gonna walk down the stationery aisle. Like I just like to kind of take it all in. So I feel like I get a lot of my ideas from the world around me, or that's probably one of my biggest things, honestly, is noticing those types of things. And then, like you said, when it comes to the product itself, we have done a lot of research to try and figure out what products we think will do well. There are a lot of different ways we can and sometimes do test out different designs, whether we ask our audience or we hop onto PickFU or different things if we can't really decide between things. But it's really a combination of all of that and things that we know have done well for us and that we like. But I love just seeing what's trending in the world around me and finding a way to make it my own. And I love color and design and all of those things. So that's really my magic sauce, I guess.
Well, and I
Yep.
think that's the challenge of like, there is no repeatable process that
we've
Becca
tried.
does. That's like, oh, you do A plus B equals C all the time. Like Becca will often come home from Hobby Lobby, for example, and she's like, OMG, I am seeing this pattern everywhere. Like, this is new. I'm seeing this starting to come out. Like, we need to stay ahead of this trend. And so really it's Becca, like she said, just kind of like living her life and observing like, what are the upcoming trends? Because Amazon is honestly like the last place where you will see a new trend come out. Like
Correct.
typically Amazon is like like it's kind of a dinosaur as it relates to that.
When
But
you go on Amazon, it's pretty much copycats. I came up with the rainbow, and then everyone is selling this rainbow unicorns, and it's all over the places. And when you're looking like, is it anything else there? And that's why this purchase rate is always, not always, sometimes when it's like design related, like lower and lower and lower. And like, why people are not buying on Amazon? Because Amazon is like dinosaur there. You're absolutely correct, and I agree. So
one
when
thing,
you guys go
real
ahead.
quick, Izabella, I think one thing to note, like Becca talked about, like using PickFU, right? PickFU's been semi-helpful, I think, to an extent.
So many of our polls end up 50-50 though.
But they end up 50-50. But then, and even when we pull our audience, it's like we have our customer list, right? So we'll send out a text message to our customer list and we'll ask people to vote on their favorite designs. There is a distinct difference when we get feedback that way in a survey versus what people are willing to do on Amazon when they're actually voting with their dollars. And so honestly, it's bring a lot of ideas to the market and see what sticks. And at the end of the day, like it costs a lot of money, right? To be able to manufacture and produce products. But we're at a point in our business where it's like, okay, we can afford to do 31 different types of designs for a specific product. But it wasn't that way when we first started, right? We came out with 3 designs for our first product when we first came out. But that's the advantage we have in our business now, is like we can kind of go and monopolize all of the different trending designs before and beat the market to the punch, so to speak.
I agree here. So just to confirm, you guys are testing PickFU and you're testing the results based on your audience, your email list. And if I remember well, it's something like 30,000 people, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Look, my memory is still there.
I love it.
Well, sometimes you deliver a child and then you're forgetting everything. Yeah, but still sharp, which is good. Confirm myself. So you're asking your 30,000 list, guys, do you like this design or you don't? And please give us a feedback and you will get the discount if you want it, right? So you have this very nice tricks, which I am going to ask you as well. So and when you're comparing those two opinions, the data from your customer data is much more valid than PickFU, correct?
100%.
Yeah,
because they've already purchased one of our designs in the past, so they obviously like Becca's style, right? Whereas PickFU, it's like I have no idea who's sitting on the other side of that computer.
Have you ever tried to work maybe with PickFU and People's Opinion, and I think People Fish? So yeah, it's some another software that also like comparing and running these polls, or not?
We haven't tried any of those. We literally have only used our audience and then PickFU here and there.
Which is generally speaking more than enough. Got it. So question to Becca, when you've been creating the designs, I want to believe that 100% of them been successful, but I assume that not 100% actually were. So how did you feel when one of the designs been failing?
Yeah, that can be tough because you put so much like blood, sweat, and tears into every design. And a lot of times one that you'll love the most is the one that either is kind of just like the middle runner or even the bottom of the pack. I think initially that was a lot harder to let go of. But over time, it's kind of easier. And honestly, I don't really get into the weeds of that to see how poorly something may do occasionally.
Stays away from it.
But to an extent, because it's important to know what is doing well so you can use it in other places and stuff like that. But it's important not to be married to something that isn't doing well, even if it's your favorite. You know, you kind of have to separate, your personal side from the success of the business, you have to learn to let go or you're never going to get anywhere. And so I think that is a lesson that we have learned over time. It can still be really hard because I love every design. I put so much time into it, and so it's super fun to see when it does well. It's super fun when random people will text me and be like, oh my gosh, I just got your product. I didn't know it was yours. Like, I love that. I love brightening people's lives that way. And so I just, pretend all of them do well, but no, it can be tough, but I feel like we've gotten better over time.
So you're trying not to take it personally, even if you want to.
For sure. You kind of have to separate it and just focus on what is doing well and the success of that instead of dwelling on what maybe didn't hit it like you'd like to have. So
that sounds good. Josh, question to you. When you're doing the product research and you're using, first of all, how many softwares do you use to find the opportunity with the keywords?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't use any software tools in order to find new products at all. All of that is done manually or by looking at, we are a very data-driven business. And so I have team members that their entire job is sifting through the massive amounts of data that we collect through PPC and just the keyword research. I mean, we will use Helium 10 for Cerebro to do reverse searches on our products to see what the keywords are and things like that. But we're not going and using Helium 10 black box to go find a new product opportunity. And then we'll also use Data Dive as well. So, shout out to, Brandon Young. Love that software that they've been able to put together.
Okay, sounds good. It's what we do as well. Data Dive, Helium 10. We're also spying. We're doing the Ad Spy and traffic graph with Smart Scout, and we're using some features on seller tools when we put them on top of the Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer, because right now Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer, they released so many cool features where you can see okay, so this is how it works, and some insights about not just the purchase rate, but you can see what was happening over a year and how many units been sold by every single seller. However, they still have a lot of bugs, so sometimes you cannot find the product you actually can see on Amazon, and it's top performer, and Amazon is not even showing it in the search when you're going to this tool. However, I believe they will get there eventually, because come on, they started year and a half ago building this tool, and they're still working. Great. So you are doing, generally speaking, reverse research via Data Dive and Helium 10. What indicators you're looking at when you're making a decision? Becca, you have to put now your sweat and tears and time to develop this specific product because this opportunity works.
Yeah. So that's the core function of our business, is coming out with new products. So we already know for the next 18 months, all the different products that we're going to be launching. And we typically average about 20, 30 new SKUs every single month coming out on Amazon. So that, you can see how important this is to the business, that we're that far planned ahead. And we already know what we're going to be doing. So we're not making knee-jerk reactions oh, hey, Becca, I just stumbled upon this today. There's a huge process that our team goes through to vet and weed out a lot of product ideas. Some of those things that we'll weed out is if there's just a lot of, overseas sellers that are racing to the bottom with a particular product, right? And if something's well below $9.99 and things like that, we'll avoid those type of situations. And we go into opportunities, where there's a good market size. I think that's the thing that we've learned and grown into. And as a mature business, it's more exciting because we can go into these more mature product categories that have huge market potential and be able to, steal market share there, rather than when we first started, it was, can I find a really, really niche opportunity where even if I'm making, 3 to 4 sales a day, I'm happy. Now we're shooting for, hey, are we generating, 50 to 100 sales a day for this particular product in order for it to become successful. So that's definitely been like the evolution. And honestly, any seller that's listening, you need to assess your cash flow, right? And your finances. And that's the important thing that so many sellers overlook. As I hear from other sellers, like how many people get scared to look at their financial statements, or they don't even understand what they're looking at when they're looking at their financial statements. They don't understand how the cash flow works. And more often than not, that's why I feel like you see a lot of those, I guess, advanced payment solutions at many of the conferences that are like, hey, we're willing to give you your Amazon payout now, and then you just pay us back when you get that Amazon distribution. Unless you're growing very quickly and you're a financial wizard and you've been able to calculate that interest rate and you're arbitraging that interest rate, your return is going to be greater than typically that pretty high interest rate you're going to be paying for that loan. Most often, a lot of the sellers don't understand that you're only tanking your business even further. And I'm always astonished. We go into certain product categories where we know some of the competitors that they have their products as oversized products, right? And what they're listing their products for sale for, I know they have to be losing money. Every single sale, they are losing money. And I think that happens more often than not with a lot of sellers, as they
not understanding.
They don't understand the financials. They don't understand the return on their cash. And so anyways, just a long pitch to say, just because you're listening to this interview, don't assume like, oh, they're doing all of this. They're getting into huge markets. That's what I need to do. Like, you're talking to us, 8 years after our journey started. And if somebody's just starting, like, you've got to start where we started. Unless you're being backed by venture capital, that's a whole other conversation.
But you guys, you've been bootstrapping, so you didn't borrow any money when you've been launching your Amazon business.
Correct. No,
we like to say that our custom weddings our custom wedding invitations is what fueled our business from the beginning.
Well, that, and I call my job at American Airlines my venture capital. Like, that is what paid the bills. And so we never took a dime out of the business the business had been going on for 4 years before I ended up leaving my corporate job. So you can see, like, all we kept doing is just kept funneling money back into new products. And very few people have that willingness or level of patience to wait 4 years.
That's true.
To start taking a salary out of the business.
Yeah, as long as you want to, I think 2 type of sellers. Like, if we will divide the avatar of the sellers like just by 2, it will be sellers who are getting excited. Now I'm making $300K a year, and so $300K is about $10,000 in profit per month, and they're super happy about it. So they're not growing; they're just calming themselves down. And I know the sellers who are making like over $1 million, and they're not taking anything from the business because they want to keep growing. So it's generally speaking 2 of them, and like the number 1 avatar, they're ending up just with $300K, and then this revenue is going down, as you know, because Amazon never will keep you on afloat unless you're launching something else. And another ones who are like you guys that keep growing and ending up with probably 9 figures soon, right?
Yeah, if your business is not growing, it's dying. And so if you're not, I think one of the biggest misconceptions in the Amazon space is that it's passive income, right? Oh, you do this once and then you just
make money while you sleep.
Release it online. Now, you do make money while you sleep, but you're not sitting on a beach for a month at a time and just being like, well, I released the product. I have nothing else to do. Like, oh my goodness, there is so much to do.
That's correct.
So one of the biggest misconceptions.
When I hear this, like, oh, look, you can go to Alibaba and buy this product for 3 cents and resell it on Amazon for $30. This is how much you're making. I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, can you please shut up? It's such a
all
no
day.
truth. Yeah, like you cannot say it to people. And so many people are misled and got excited, like, oh, I want to do Amazon. And then like Amazon is actually pretty technical and it's super hard. And like, yeah, if you want to do Amazon, you got to learn. And you're absolutely correct. You have to start with the numbers. Another question. You guys said that you have a plan for 18 months to launch so many SKUs.
Mm-hmm.
So that data is getting old from month to month. Are you like, do you go through like revalidating product before you launch it? Like for example, if like we will go 18 months back, it will be the middle of 2021 and we're in 2023. So it's a pretty big gap. So we don't know if the product that you found 1.5 years ago is going to work today. Are you revalidating or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually talked about that at one of our leadership meetings yesterday. And for one of the products that we had planned out, it was about 18 months ago when we did the initial research for it. And so, yeah, we always do kind of like we call it our high level detailed research, where it's like, okay, this makes sense. There's room for us in this market. And so we'll slot it into our, product development launch plans. But then the real crux of it starts, 3 to 4 months prior to the launch of that product. We're going in very deep into the keywords. That's where we're using data dive. I have strategies where we're combing through, and I have team members that sort through literally thousands of keywords. They are keying in individually into Amazon and seeing what is being pulled up on that on page one for those products. So yes, as it gets closer, we have a more refined and detailed research that we do. And then that's where we start building the titles, the bullets, the descriptions. All of that starts much closer to the launch date. So yeah, we're not creating the titles or designs, 18 months in the past or ahead of schedule, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay, so you like the product you found 18 months ago and it's about to launch. It's about to go to the design. You're revalidating first and then you're starting the design and production.
Yep.
I know a couple of products that have been very good performing. I didn't see if you guys are actually been selling those or not. It's wall collage, for example, one of the products. Did you create some of those?
No, we haven't gotten into that space. And that is the beauty of the design space is if you think about it, what product can you not put a design on, right? And that's why we're so ambitious about what the future holds for what we're able to do, is because like the opportunity to create designs on products, it is literally endless. So unfortunately, that is not one of the product categories we're currently in.
Which is probably good, because this is the example one, like in 2021, during 2021, this product was performing absolutely amazing. Like people have been making thousands and thousands of dollars out of this one because people were closed in the houses and they tried to decorate and do all this crazy stuff. And then this opportunity became to a lot of Amazon sellers and people started fighting for the price. And here's the question. How many times have you seen the situation when you've been launching the product and you've been going into the, for example, $20, $25 or like whatever the price you've been going to sell your product, and then you had to find out that like this price actually doesn't fit market anymore? Have you been in the situation like those?
I mean, you'd be better at answering that.
You want me to answer this question? Yeah. So one of the biggest differences is that, we compete with a lot of overseas competitors that, like you said, all they know how to do is kind of copy. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, we will go into a product category and we're always kind of the premium priced option. Always. We do not compete on price. It's one thing that we, there is a market price point. We're always at the top end of that because we know how important it is to be able to fund future product launches And at the end of the day, I'm not going to be working with single digit, margin products, which many of the overseas sellers, that's all they know how to do is do mass volumes at really low margins. And so, we've created a premium brand, and that's what I would encourage, anybody that's, in the US and has a lot of overseas competitors. That's one thing that the overseas competitors don't know is they don't understand how the US customer really works and what appeals to them from a premium standpoint. They don't understand the designs and what's trending. Sure, they could go look online at things like that, but they don't understand what speaks to the US consumer to that extent.
Yeah. And I mean, our products are premium themselves, though, in comparison to quality in the markets that we're in. A lot of the overseas stuff is kind of very
what you pay
poor
for.
quality. Yeah, you truly get what you pay for. And so being the premium price, it's because it is the premium product, especially in design. We put everything into that, but it's also they're all made in the USA. They're all great quality. And that's what we stand for instead of as cheap as we can, as quick as we can. That's not what we do.
Amazing. I love it. I was actually going to ask, are you guys manufacturing and overseas, or you manufacturing in China or here? Well, that's really amazing. It's super impressive what you do. Another question. Are you tired of my questions?
No, you're good.
We love the questions. I'm always on my podcast. I'm always the one having to ask the questions. So it's refreshing being on the opposite end and sitting back and hearing your questions and being able to talk. I could talk about ourselves all day long. That's easy.
Okay, sounds good. So as a couple, of course, I can go deeper and deeper on Amazon stuff. And actually, let's ask the last question about Amazon. I heard that you guys been doing a lot of copyright for yourself. Of course, you have a trademark, and I know you're working with Rich Galstein, and he's helping you out to do the copyright. So can you share with the listeners how you're approaching the copyright, how you're defending yourself, and how you're trying to stay away from copycats?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah, huge problem, and something that I was too naive, I think, at the beginning of the business. And so there were a lot of people that would copy our designs, literally mimic them.
It's ridiculous. They'll even put our logo on it. And it's okay, you didn't even try. You literally didn't even try.
Yeah. It's you put
But that's the thing, he was saying about the overseas people who are doing that, they don't even understand the product, or they would know, oh, I'm not putting this part on, so it's very naive, not understanding, but sorry.
And yeah, at the time, when we would get those people is I don't know what to do with this. Right. And so I'm glad, I met Rich Goldstein at a War Room Mastermind event, and we've been able to create a great partnership since. And so, yeah, we create copyrights and then design patents for all of our products. And what that allows us to do is anybody that starts even creating derivatives of our work where and I'm glad that Amazon has when each product launched, because it's so easy for us to be you distinctly, even if you didn't copy it specifically, you can tell that this is a derivative of our product. And we've been very successful at being able to get those taken down, being able to protect them with design patents. And so we've been able to be very successful at protecting those. And then it also has, I guess, lessened the competition to an extent, because there's been more people, I think, at the beginning where they would just literally release whatever we released and would copy us within 3 to 6 months. Now, because we've been so aggressive at, filing takedowns, because we've already done, even before we launch a product, we've already filed the copyright. The design patent is already patent pending, right? And so we come out of the gates with everything. We're ready to go to battle. So that if somebody is they copy us next week, all right, we'll send your takedown notice. And Amazon's agreed and sided with us. And we've even filed lawsuits against other people because you can't do that. And so to anybody that is battling that, I can't tell you enough how important that is. And also from in the future, the value of your business. Nobody wants to acquire a business that's not protected, that doesn't have a moat around them. And if you don't have that intellectual property, people are going to see that as a huge weakness. And so we see that as a moat for us to continue to stay relevant in the marketplace. And, once competitors see that we actually protect our stuff and
we'll fight back.
And we have a team that's out there every single day. Their job is sorting through all of our products and finding copyright infringements and filing those, right? And we have a lawyer that goes and reviews each of those. So like we have a team now that we're able to afford and do that with. But again, that's not something that we had to begin with. But once you cross a threshold where you can afford it, oh man, it's one of the most important things you can do to actually start building, a moat around your business.
So what is the threshold for you when you're supposed to actually go into the patent and copyright?
Yeah, it depends. Rich and I have worked out a great deal for each other, because we're sending him so much volume. I mean, typically, I mean, it's like weekly at this point. We do so much volume that we kind of get discounted rates, but on average, I mean, you're looking at paying like $5,000 for a design patent. Copyrights can be a little bit cheaper. So at what point does that make sense?
So many factors.
There's a lot to take into consideration. Like, how confident are you? Like, I have 6 years of launching products on Amazon. Like, I have a very good idea of when something's going to succeed and not succeed. And so my level of confidence, like I'm able to predict that better than I have. I would say at least having a business doing, I don't know, if I were just to throw out a number, if you forced me to say, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 million, and you've had at least a couple years of experience and you have a high level of confidence in your products. But also one thing too, and then I'll let you talk. One thing about the design patents is that you have 1 year from the release of that product, once it's been disclosed publicly, to file that design patent. So if for somebody that's just launched a product, and that's something you want to do, you're not at a loss right now. You still have a year, but as soon as it hits that year mark, like you can no longer file for that design patent. So just a little tidbit
that's
of
true.
info.
Yeah, and I mean, if you only have a handful of products too, it's probably worth the investment. Like for us, it's a huge quantity, so you've got to be smart about it. But it's like if you just have a handful of products in your business, it's definitely worth considering for sure.
I agree. I remember I lost one of my products. Well, first of all, I was without experience, and it was 2016, and I finally started selling this product like 1,000 units a month, and I was so happy. I'm like, damn, I'm making so much money. And then I got copycats, and I didn't know what to do, and they kicked me out from the market, and I was so upset, and I was so scared to move forward and do something where, like, right now with experience, I'm looking back and like, damn, I could fight back and I could keep my product running. But anyway, you're absolutely correct here. 1 year since the moment you start, you can file the patent and stay on the market. What is your...
And Izabella, sorry, one thing I think that's just super important, that I think your listeners should understand is the importance of just thinking outside the box and not copying people. If you want to have a product that succeeds, I think long gone are the days on Amazon where you can create Me Too products. Yeah. Those are long gone. What you need to do is you need to bring something fresh and brand new in whatever product category you're going into. There needs to be a very unique selling proposition for your product. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to succeed in how competitive Amazon is now.
I love it. I love it because this is something that we're preaching to our audience, and you're just repeating everything. And it's always good to know that like we are on the same page with the big sellers. I love it. When you're launching your product on Amazon, what is the budget for PPC is in your head? Because again, you're different. You're already at 8 figs. You have your data, you have your clients that are helping you to rank the product. And genuinely speaking, your ACOS and TACOS will be always lower than any other brand new seller that is going to launch their product by default.
Sure.
So when you're launching your product right now, what is the daily budget per product in your head?
That is a good question. And, it's funny because my PPC manager, we do all of our PPC internally. And he asked me this, just a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, you already know my answer. I have a zero budget, like not zero budget. It's an unlimited budget. If a product is being profitable and our conversion rate is higher than the existing competition on Amazon, spend all day long. And so we go into it with really no budget in mind. And I know that may fly against the minds of many financial people.
People are cringing inside right now.
But we go into it with just like, let the data speak for itself. And what we found is that the products that are going to do well, if we have a conversion rate that's above the market average, then those are going to be profitable campaigns. And so why limit ourselves on the budget out of the gate? It's just, let's start. Now we do have kind of some thresholds. Like we set up each campaign with a $15 a day budget, but we're creating hundreds of campaigns. We do single keyword exact match campaigns. And so we have hundreds of campaigns that we're starting with. They all are getting, $15 a day just to begin. But as soon as we get that first sale, like unlimited budget, if we start hitting that conversion rate metric, that's ultimately what it's about. And we're not really paying attention to the ACoS. That doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what matters the most is what is my conversion rate for that specific keyword. And that's also why I'm a huge proponent of single keyword campaigns, because if you're not putting them into single keyword campaigns, you don't know what your conversion rate is for each of those keywords in your campaigns.
You're just petting my soul. I love it. How big is your team, guys?
So you can answer that question. I've done all the talking.
Yeah, we have about...
It's not truth. She's answering lots of questions.
Yeah, I've talked a lot.
I think we're up to 25 now, about. Yeah, so we have 25 team members, a lot of team members overseas, the Philippines, Mexico. We've been able to build a really great team. We couldn't be where we are today without them. And we have great SOPs in place that have been super helpful. And we just went on a family vacation a couple weeks ago, and it was really rewarding to see our business continue to move forward, even though we weren't in the day-to-day. We were on a cruise. We didn't have Wi-Fi, and that was really awesome to see our team make decisions and move things forward. And we're just so grateful to be at that point. It's definitely taken time. We went many, many years with just probably less than 5, maybe 10.
Yeah.
So, but we've gotten up to 25, and it's been awesome.
Who is helping you guys hire people?
Oh, Josh is a magician when it comes to hiring. He's got a whole system in place. He is the hiring guru, I guess. I mean, he's put a lot of SOPs into place to be able to have other members of our team now take over parts of that, which has been really, really awesome. But he has built that whole thing himself. And I feel like it's credit to him that we have 25 awesome team members is through the things that he's done. So,
yeah, so that's what I spoke about.
Is actually the keyword here. So where do you start when it comes to like, we need this person now? So where is the starting point?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, it's a deep question with many steps. I have it laid out. I think it's a 50-minute episode just on my podcast, Ecom Breakthrough, that I walk through the steps that we use in order to hire. But the mistake that most sellers make is that just because you hear that we have a PPC manager doesn't mean you need to go out and hire a PPC manager. Just because we have a supply chain demand planning manager doesn't mean that you need to go out and hire a supply chain demand planning manager. What we've done in order to get to 25 team members, and this is your question, the first thing you have to get really good at is doing regular time studies, identifying where the majority of your time is going. And so as soon as you notice, you're literally documenting what you do in 15-minute increments on a day-to-day basis. Sounds tedious, but this is how you start making the biggest moves in your business. And so I noticed one of our first big hires, I would say, that's really helped kind of exponentially grow us were 2. We had one that was a project manager. Okay. And that's because as I looked at my day-to-day responsibilities, I was like, good grief, 90% of my time is just following up. Where's this? Where's that? What's the due date for this? What's the due date for that? And so we hired a project manager that was able to
free that up,
free all of that up. Then it was, oh, I'm spending all of my time on product research. Okay, let's go hand that out. Let's go create an SOP. Let's go train somebody and get that off my shoulders. And so that's been the evolution of our team, has just been, where am I spending most of my time? All right, let's take this role off my plate, and then upwards and onwards.
But I think for the only way for that to be successful, though, is it's really important that you have an onboarding plan for them and that you have KPIs for them to meet that they're aware of from the get-go, that you have SOPs in place. Because it sounds really easy to be like, oh, I'm spending a lot of time doing this. Let's just hire this person.
Yeah.
But the only way they're going to be successful is through several things like that. And when they are first hired, we have daily touch bases for
the first 3 months. Yeah. We have a whole process. I can get super detailed with you on all of this, but the one key thing that I would share with the audience is that don't just look at hiring overseas staff as like, I'm just hiring a VA. When we hire staff overseas, they are management level team members.
Yeah.
They are not just a VA, and we don't just call them a VA. We are actually hiring, like, we have a supply chain manager that is overseas, right? With lots of corporate experience, right? Some of these people have worked for Del Monte, or they've worked for Coca-Cola, IBM. Like, these people have worked for large US corporations. They know what they're doing.
So it's not $400 a month employees.
No, that's not. But it's a little bit more, but it's still a third of what you would be paying a US management level staff member here.
What platform do you guys use when you're looking for these people?
Yeah, so recruiting and sourcing your talent is one of the most important things, and getting really good at doing this. We'll leverage Upwork. We'll leverage Indeed. We'll leverage onlinejobs.ph, and then we'll leverage Facebook groups. And our goal, and I have my executive assistant, she's kind of our HR manager as well. Her goal every single time is at least 1,000 applicants for every single role. That's when we know very confidently, if we can get 1,000 applicants up front at the top of the funnel, at the very bottom of the funnel, we're going to get somebody that has A-level talent to join us.
That's what we talked initially about. Yeah, sounds like very, very true, because out of 150, sometimes you cannot hire one person. Yeah. Well, thank you for all these answers, because it's super, super useful. And you guys actually observed the whole situation, how it's supposed to be on the market since like from scratch to the very end when you have to hire people. And the question I wanted to ask you is the very, very personal. The last one. As a family, you're running business. So do you have, of course you do, I believe you do have fights when like you disagree with each other about the business and how it's supposed to work. How are you solving those fights, and how are you going through the process to keep yourself with a good sanity, with love to each other, with respect, and making sure you still have this balance inside of the family and inside of the business? Because you both look like a very you're complementing each other, and you seems like loving each other, and you like the whole thing. So, and it's not super often something that you can meet.
Yeah, I think we're both very fortunate, and I think we're both doing what is our passion, for starters, which makes it easier. I think both of us could say we don't feel like we're working. We love what we do, but I would say we run our relationship and our family like its own business, kind of in its own way. And we've learned this over time, the importance of setting up yearly goals for our family, because it's so easy, especially as an entrepreneur, to get really caught up in how busy you are. We could be busy forever. We could get babysitters forever. We could have, like, if you're not making sure you're setting aside time for each other, for your relationship, for your children, for your goals, you're just going to be working all the time. And so that's made a huge difference for us. Like one of the things that we do is every other week is what it's turned into because life is really busy, but a date night. And for me, for our relationship personally, that has just been, it's been crucial. So we get out of the house, we go try something new, we take turns planning it. We're intentionally doing something fun to connect with each other outside of business because it's just so refreshing. And I think whether you work together or not, it's really important to have that time with your spouse to reconnect, to have fun, to be kids again, because I think that makes your relationship really strong. And we have regular meetings with one another weekly and monthly to touch on our goals as a family, as a couple. And I think when there are issues that come up in the work situation, I think we both have gotten better over time of really letting the other person make a decision that's in their wheelhouse and trusting in that, whether you 100% agree or not, because we both 110% have the best intention for each other and for our business, and we can fully trust that. And so working together, we both have the same vision overall for the business. We both have the same goals. And so we're able to kind of take a step back, not to say that we don't have our arguments, but we make sure that we let them go, especially when we are having family time and time together as a couple. Like we separate, it's time to be present in this mode, So I think that's really important to have those set aside designated times, to have also designated times that you do meet together to discuss problems in like a safe environment, safe zone to overcome and solve those problems rather than the moment of what's happening. Those are things that have been really helpful for us.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is just like having really defined roles. It helps that like Becca's on the creative side of the business and I'm not questioning, I don't think that design looks very good. I think you should change this from blue to green, or I think we need to do XYZ. Like,
because that's where a lot of tension would come.
Yeah. And she's not coming over and being like, I don't think we should hire people this way, or I don't think that we should be focusing on our PPC efforts in this way. And it's like, that's not in your wheelhouse, right? So I think like having very clearly defined roles and that helps whether you're a couple or not, like it just in team member management as well, like how critical that can be. And then separately, again, it all comes down to like having those times to sit down and plan and discuss the business so that you can make sure that you do share the same vision. Because if you're not communicating, that's where a lot of the challenges and miscommunication all arises.
I love it. Well, guys, I wish you the best. You're a great couple. You're absolutely amazing example for thousands and thousands of people. And again, to be partners in such a harmony together, having like start and build and keep growing the business, having kids, manage all this and balance it is, I don't know. It's really great. It's amazing, and I hope we will be able to hang out with you one day somewhere together with our children. We have 4 now.
Amazing.
So
exciting.
Like when it's 4 parents, and you have 2, right?
We have 3.
We have 3. Oh, so it's like 4 parents, 7 kids. So yeah, I think we can have so much fun together. Thank you for joining me today. It's been great. Almost an hour, and it's flew just like a minute. I hope you guys, all of you, enjoying to listen to the podcast. Your experience is a real world life, real example.
Yeah.
So
and Izabella too, we're also willing to help out any of your listeners. We love speaking to the community and helping other sellers. So if people have questions, I have my podcast, Ecom Breakthrough. That's ecom with 2 M's. So people are welcome to reach out to me at josh@ecombreakthrough.com. That's my email. And then for Becca, she's on TikTok. And so people can follow her on TikTok.
Right.
And if you want to give people your kind of name on TikTok and how they can reach out to you.
I heard about it, and I totally forgot to ask you. You have, I think, closer to million, right?
I am at, what am I at now?
115.
Yeah, 115, but getting there. So I am growing my personal TikTok to help people to follow their passion, specifically into graphic design. So my handle, or whatever they officially call it, is Becca BECCA_A_Hadley, HADLEY. So yeah, I would love to have people come join me on there, as well as Instagram. I'm happy to answer any questions, especially I focus a lot on what it's like to work and be a full-time mom too, and how to find that balance and be fulfilled in life that way. So I'd love to help anyone out or chat with anyone, or if you just want to learn graphic design, you can join me there. So
yeah, and all these links will be right there, guys, and we are happy to share, and we're happy to help everyone to grow their business on Amazon. And guys, again, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for coming. I know you're busy like every other entrepreneur, and well, achieve your 9 figs soon.
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, bye everyone.